Hi, I am Sarah Reeves. I am the founder of Metaphysicalu. Today, I'm going to bring to you probably the first discussion that I've had with almost everyone who's taken my mentorship program. The idea of this particular space is for us to talk about what you're going to need to get started in learning. If you're somebody who's self-taught or somebody who's brand new and has no idea what's going on, this is going to be a little bit of help on starting your daily routine of working into the space. What you'll need, the tools that you'll need to kind of move forward and to really understand some concepts prior to you starting to learn different things. So I'm going to share my screen here in a minute and pop myself down in a corner, which is going to be fantastic. And I'm going to start off with this first opening slide, right? I'm a what? Now what? Right? I'm a medium. I'm a psychic. I'm an energy worker. Anything that you can fill into this blank is going to require you knowing a good foundation of information. And this is what Metaphysicalu will bring to you, is the foundation of that information. Developing a good practice is going to require a lot of self-discipline. So we want to get into what we are doing. But I will let you know that I myself have never begun any important venture for which I felt adequately prepared. Very well said by Sheldon Kopp. So I'm going to give you a little bit of the MPU disclaimers, right? Shortening myself into an acronym. I love it. A lot of self-work, again, is required when you're developing and building relationships with your own source and developing that language that you're going to end up using in that metaphysical world. When things contact you or communicate you, there are signs and symbols and things that will only make sense to you and not necessarily to me. So that kind of development that's happening is going to develop on its own as you practice daily with different challenges or different techniques. I ask only that you, if you are self-taught or if you are a practitioner who's already been out kind of working with the public or even instructing and moving out there, I ask that when you do take a course with us to keep yourself in check, right? Check that ego. Even though you might have a vast amount of knowledge, you might actually learn something new. So keep yourself open to learning that new concept. Rid yourself of expectations. Whatever you have heard in social media, in Hollywood, from your own experiences with maybe people who were not very good practitioners or only wanted to limit the amount of information to you, just rid yourself of an expectation of what you're going to see if you join us here at Metaphysicalu. I ask that you practice, meditate, and trust. This is something that you can do outside of even being part of our group. Practice your craft, no matter what it is. Learn as much as you can and put into play any challenges or techniques that you can. Meditate on the information that you're doing, even before starting something new in any practice. Meditate and make sure that you're going in the right direction. And you'll know you're sure because you're going to trust that the information you're receiving is real. This is not something that is just fleeting or your own mind giving it to you. Trust that what you're getting belongs. Reinforce and develop your own belief system. Metaphysicalu does not force a belief system on anyone. We try very hard to use general terms so that way you can fill in the blank of what it means to you. Bring an open perspective. You will be set in group settings where you'll get to hear others' thoughts and others' opinions, and you're also going to be in a group of completely different practitioners. They might not even be in the same area of expertise as you. So bring an open perspective to listen to what they have to say. Keep going. No matter what, even if you do not join us, if you go somewhere else, just keep going. The idea is to get the knowledge that you need and move forward into building a beautiful practice. But if you are going to move forward with Metaphysicalu, either joining your group or taking a class or just doing a mentorship, we ask that you just keep going and bring on what makes sense to you and let go of what doesn't. We look forward to working in your light. So if you are someone who is a practicing or dabbling practitioner, then I'm going to ask, if you're dabbling with any kind of psychic tool, a tarot card, a pendulum, a Ouija board, I'm going to ask that you learn without putting these techniques or tools into play. I'd like you to first understand what your natural ability can do before we add on a tool. The idea is, if you are a medium, You'll receive the information directly, and the tools will become a little bit of a hindrance in how you develop. If you are a psychic, maybe you're using the wrong tool or the wrong combination of tools, or maybe you're not using the tools correctly, especially if you are self-taught. There might be some things that you might need some guidance on. So leave yourself open to that knowledge. And if you are an energy worker or a healer, well, you are the tool, right? You are the one that will be moving and transmuting the energy for someone else or yourself. So your natural ability, or you as a tool combined with another appropriate one, can enhance your practice greatly. It's finding out what this is. Why? Why do you want to develop your ability? I'm going to share with you a little bit of our top 3 answers to that question. Now, these may or may not be the answers that you have, but the idea is for you to write it down. What is the reason that you want to know if you have or want to develop the ability that you have today? Do you want to just turn it off? Well, I'm sad to say that's not going to happen. You cannot turn off this ability. I want to have more experiences. I always say, be careful what you wish for. You want to understand what that phrase means. How do you want to have more experiences? In what fashion, when, where, all these good things. And I want to help people, being of service. We're going to talk about being of service a little later, but we are typically driven to be of service when we are in this area. And if you're somebody who's not community friendly, this is going to be a little bit of a challenge for you. So the way that you might want to help people or are kind of pushed or prompted to help people is going to be according to what you can actually withstand within your energy. So what do you need for a good foundation of practice? Well, I will tell you what you're going to need is commitment. You're also going to need a lot of patience. The metaphysical world is vast. Not one teacher is going to know everything. But if you have a combination of knowledge, you'll be able to kind of find what calls to you and then begin that deep dive into that one specialization. It takes time to learn about yourself, apply the knowledge that you're learning, and then see how it changes you into the direction of your craft. So practice, never stop practicing and never stop learning. Be patient. This is a lifelong practice. There is no room for comparison either. If you are someone who is consistently joining groups and moving things around, then the natural thing is to compare yourself to the others in the group. Maybe you didn't see what they saw, or maybe you didn't experience the energy that you didn't experience. Be honest and just say, no, I didn't experience that. It could just very well be that you have a different way of doing your practice because you are unique. Not everybody sees or feels or hears the same way. Not everybody works in the same energy. You might wake up in the morning and do something magical that took me 10 or 12 years to learn. So the idea is we are not the same. We are all unique in this craft. Therefore, do not compare yourself. Journaling. Oh, the eye rolls I just got when I put that little slide up. I heard it. When you are journaling down the information that you have, it is simply because later on you're going to use these journals as almost a teaching or a reference manual for yourself. The idea is to be able to know where you started and kind of where you are as you move forward. It's also really good to jot down things like pictures or symbols or things that have come to you in dreams, even affirmations, so that you have them somewhere where you can go back and look at them often. Constantly review the information in your journals. What ends up happening is a pattern, and it's usually a helpful pattern of what you either need to learn or maybe a solution to an issue that's been ongoing for a long time. So read your space. Don't just jot them down. Go back, formulate your own thoughts. This is a wonderful way of tracking your progress. A sacred space. So we need our spaces. And we will be using these sacred spaces in order to do something like meditate or just sit or to just quiet down the world around us, generating a space of energy or something that you can recharge, right? Sitting in that chair, sitting on your yoga mat. But I will encourage you to get two spaces, not just an indoor space like a favorite carpet or a favorite room, but also an outdoor space like sitting on a patio or going to a park. The outdoor space is very helpful for when you need to release energy that is really big or has been kind of built up over time. You don't want to release that kind of energy in your home. So I encourage you to go outside to kind of do that. Also, when you're out in nature, nature loves our trash. And we love nature's trash. That's just kind of how it works, right? That nice little circle that we're creating. So give them their trash as it moves through your body, out your feet, into the ground, and breathe in the energy of that nature space. Bring in that light and that love and that green warmth from nature itself to fill in those spaces that you've just emptied. Take these sacred spaces and make them your own. If it's a space for you indoors, maybe filling it with candles if you can, or even spraying your yoga mats with something that smells really good, but make sure that it is something that feels like you. Be greedy with this space. This should be a place for you to recharge and be able to be in your own energy. So, how to start? So, the beginning stages of developing a practice. First, it starts with confidence. Remember, I said it's about self-discipline. This is a beautiful thing. 80% of developing is really learning about yourself, reviewing your traumas, understanding your emotions, getting in balance of who you are is really important. So we want to slowly develop some positive habits to any of the negative responses that we have today, because that confidence comes from trusting yourself. So take an inventory of any behavior that you are currently kind of engaging in, right? Look for something that brings in that shame or guilt that lowers your confidence. The idea is to understand that we cannot change things, some things, we have to accept them. And the things that we can change, we have to want to. And that's very important for us to know the difference, right? So to give you an example, the thing you cannot change is the fact that you might like the smell of stinky socks, right? You're not going to necessarily go running down the street telling all of your neighbors about that, but you cannot change that part of yourself. If you like the smell of stinky socks, then you like the smell of stinky socks. So you can't change that. But the things that you can change could be the way that you respond to others or how you allow triggers to force a different response to you, right? To be a negative thinker in yourself or that kind of thing. So it's listing down those traits, those things, whether it be a response to a trigger or whether it be a response in general to anything else. The idea is make that list, go through it and see what you are willing to change your response to, and then incorporate a positive response. Work only on one thing at a time. Don't try to do the whole lot. It's going to overwhelm you. But the idea is to take one thing at a time, formulate a new response that's positive to it, and then practice, practice, practice. Do not forget that we will revert back to our former nature sometimes just out of habit. Forgive yourself for doing so and move forward in the new you as much as possible. Fully accepting who you are keeps you safe. It doesn't allow negative energies to come in and use your shame and guilt against you. What is my purpose? I love hearing this question. What's not understood is there's two different types of purpose. There is your life purpose and there is your global purpose. Life purpose is something that you are here to learn. You're here in this lifetime to learn this particular purpose. If you're sitting there thinking, what is that, right? I will encourage you or challenge you a bit to start rewinding your life from this point going back. Look for the repeating patterns. How many times did something happen to you, although it might have started a little different, always ended up with you having to draw a new boundary or learn how to forgive, not just the other person, but yourself, or that inspired you to show compassion. These repetitive qualities are your life purpose. And it could be more than one, not just one thing. The idea is to get so good at seeing the pattern that no matter how it's gifted to you, you'll understand what you need to do. If we're looking at global purpose, well, you got to pick that. So that's great. What are you contributing into the world around you? What talent do you have that's bringing it in? Anything from being a connective person, so you can love to connect two people together. If you're somebody who's a healer or a teacher, an advocate, this is your global purpose, a talent that you have. So, helpful hint on the global purpose, if you can't figure out what that is, ask someone. Ask someone what they believe that you're really good at. And you might even get a response where you're like, everybody does that. I promise you that not everybody does. And there must be a special quality for you to be able to get that as an information. So just kind of look. The other way to kind of monitor and see what it is in your global purpose is your work. If there's something in your job that you constantly get stuck doing and you absolutely hate it, but you're really, really good at it, there is some kind of global purpose behind it. Find out what that talent is and why you end up stuck with those situations. Being of service. Told you we'd talk about it here in a little bit. I just want to help people. Being of service is basically something that just awakens in us when our ability begins to awaken as well. It is to push us into a state of putting us into a devotion of service, right? So the idea to remember is these three things. Being of service is not a religious doctrine. It's not because it says so in a book. You cannot give or be of service if you are broken. Not as an excuse, but to say, if you have your last dollar, don't give it away when your rent is due in 15 minutes. The idea is if you can come from a place of being grateful and are prompted to be of service, then be of service. Remember that the goal is to bring love and light to not only the living, but to also those who have passed. That's if you dare to. So being of service, really consider it as something that's not something that you're dreading, but something that should really come from a space of love. So if someone asks you for a favor and your first response is to feel weight and that heaviness to it, then I encourage you to say no, very politely, but no, because that's telling you right there, you are broken and you don't have the energy or coming from a space of gratefulness to do so. But if your spirit becomes lifted, if a glow comes to you of saying, yes, I can do that, then please follow the prompt and help. Meditation. Oh, the groans. Here she goes. She's going to talk about meditation. Yes, but I'm not going to talk about the kind of meditation that keeps you cross-legged, floating in the air for 3 hours in silence. If you can do that, wonderful. But the majority of us can't. It's very even difficult for us to sit still sometimes. So the idea is to understand that we meditate actually several times a day, and you're probably not even aware of it. When you're working on things like a hobby, when you're going for a walk, or just kind of being aware of your breathing, right? It's labored, it's dragging, or maybe you're taking some deep breaths. The idea is to clear your mind and allow yourself to receive. This is meditation. It can be found in multiple ways. Find what works best for you and start 1 or 2 minutes if you've never done it before, but only in the fashion of what you can do, going for a walk, maybe going for a swim, a drive, dancing around your house, listening to music. These are all forms of meditation. Do not forget wonderful idea of self-care. Self-care is a beautiful thing that we all need to incorporate into our daily work, or at least our daily practice. So doing things like regular exercise or body care or healing sessions and sleep, beautiful sleep, can help you restore the energy that you have been putting out most of the day. However, there are some times where during our practice, we feel a little disconnected. Something that kind of says, I'm kind of stuck. I don't feel like I'm moving forward. This is simply just telling you to take some rest. Things will start to open up. But if you're getting a little frustrated with yourself, then I encourage you to either watch someone else do their practice or go with somebody who's like you, a peer, and ask for what they're doing or listening to what they're doing to get some inspiration for yourself. Learn something new, a new technique or a new form of energy work, and lean on your meditation so that you can ask, what would you like me to focus on now? Setting an intent for guidance. So, questions on any of this, you can definitely reach out to us at Metaphysicalu. Any one of our practitioners would gladly be able to sit down and talk to you for a moment on a mentorship. So if you don't want to join the mentorship, you don't need to. You can always take just a course or a section to be able to get caught up and look at things and maybe help you with your self-teaching or guide you into a space of a specialization that you would like to take. I encourage you, just keep learning. We do have our Wednesday night development groups, which is free and open to the public if you want to come and ask questions or just give us a listen. I look forward to working in your light in the future, and I can't wait to see how far you can grow.